In the darkest era of medieval Europe, when kingdoms rose and fell under the weight of endless wars and fear ruled more fiercely than any monarch, there lived a man whose cruelty surpassed imagination and whose legacy became the root of one of the most frightening legends ever told. His name was Vlad III Tepes, known to history as Vlad the Impaler, a ruler whose shadow still haunts the chronicles of humanity. To the people of Wallachia, he was both savior and executioner, a man forged by tragedy, betrayal, and unrelenting hatred. But to the outside world, he was a monster, a creature whose cruelty was so vast and unimaginable that centuries later, he would become the foundation of Bram Stoker's infamous vampire, Count Dracula. Yet the truth is far worse than the fiction, because Vlad Tepes did not need supernatural powers to terrify nations. His brutality alone was enough to carve terror into the soul of Europe. Born into political chaos, Vlad grew up surrounded by violence. As a child, he and his brother were taken hostage by the Ottoman Empire, forced to live under the threat of death if their father dared oppose the Sultan. During these years of captivity, Vlad witnessed horrors that scarred his mind forever. Torture, executions, manipulation, and betrayal. He learned that power belonged not to the strong, but to those willing to be more ruthless than their enemies. When he finally returned to claim the throne of Wallachia, he carried with him a hatred so deep that it shaped every decision he made. He believed fear was the only tool capable of creating order in a land torn apart by corruption and invasion. And so began one of the most terrifying reigns in human history. Vlad's signature punishment, impalement, was not merely execution, it was psychological warfare. Victims were placed on wooden stakes sharpened to pierce the body without immediately killing. The stake entered through the lower body and emerged through the chest, shoulders, or mouth. Death took hours, sometimes days. Those who survived long enough often begged for death, but mercy was something Vlad never granted. Entire forests of impaled bodies surrounded his strongholds. Travelers described scenes so horrific that even seasoned soldiers collapsed at the sight. Bodies swayed in the wind like grotesque silhouettes, forming a macabre landscape of twisted limbs and blood-stained earth. The stench filled the air for miles. Crows circled overhead. Wolves gathered at night. And Vlad Tepes watched it all with cold, emotionless eyes. There is a chilling account from Saxon envoys who visited his court. Expecting diplomacy, they instead found a banquet set in the middle of a field of impalement. Vlad sat calmly among the dying, eating his meal, while the victims cried out in agony. When one envoy covered his nose to block the unbearable smell of blood and decay, Vlad ordered him impaled immediately, declaring that anyone who could not tolerate the scent of justice did not deserve to breathe. His cruelty knew no boundaries. He impaled nobles who conspired against him, peasants who disobeyed him, enemies captured in battle, merchants accused of dishonesty. Even women and children in villages he believed harbored traitors. But what makes his legacy so disturbing is that Vlad believed he was acting righteously. In his mind, terror was the price people had to pay for protection. And in a twisted way, it worked. Under his rule, crime virtually disappeared. Merchants traveled safely for the first time in decades. But safety bought with blood is still bloodshed, and the people lived in constant dread of displeasing their prince. The Ottoman Empire soon learned to fear him as well. When Sultan Mehmed II marched toward Wallachia with one of the largest armies the world had seen, he expected an easy conquest. Instead, he found a nightmare stretched across miles of land. Vlad had created the infamous Forest of the Impaled, tens of thousands of bodies displayed like grotesque monuments to his defiance. The psychological impact was catastrophic. Hardened soldiers vomited at the sight. Some broke ranks. Even Mehmed was shaken, reportedly saying, "How can we defeat a man who does not fear death, neither his own nor that of others?" Vlad also led one of the boldest attacks ever recorded when he infiltrated the Ottoman camp at night, aiming to kill the Sultan himself. Though he failed, he caused such chaos that the Ottomans retreated in humiliation. It was one of the few times a small European principality had forced the mighty Ottoman Empire to withdraw. But victory consumed him. The more power he gained, the more paranoid he became. Vlad began seeing enemies everywhere, in advisors, in nobles, even among his own people. His punishments grew increasingly erratic and savage. Supporters abandoned him. Allies betrayed him. Eventually, he was captured and imprisoned, left to rot in solitude. Some say insanity consumed him in those years. Others believe he merely waited, feed,